then you go about that far again. It's in the middle of Pacific Ocean nowhere. It's named after a British captain who came across it. I'm sure Polynesian people knew just where it was. A British guy found it. And we use his name. That's the nature of humans. So Wake Island is very small. It's an atoll. It's a coral reef. But it's big enough to land airplanes on, to wit, if and only if you have a runway. So my dad was there with these other guys building a runway. In the meantime, seaplanes landed at Wake Island very regularly. This is when if you wanted to go from San Francisco to Shanghai, or anywhere in China, this would be the early days of Asian entrepreneurship, you would take a Boeing flying boat, a clipper, and you'd stop in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor and refuel, and you'd stop in Wake and refuel before you went on to Shanghai. If you didn't refuel, you wouldn't get there. There's been a little bit of dispute with my father's comrades about this, but in this picture, my dad was the college kid, so he was the quartermaster. He was in charge of how much fuel the planes received and billing the United Airlines company and so on. But apparently he is here in this picture, if I can use the term, working. There, and apparently it was beautiful. It was the tropics. They just stood outside, ran around all day with no shirts on. They'd watch movies outdoors at night, and if it rained, they just kept going because it was so warm and fabulous. What's not to love? But if you know anything about this part of the world, everything was cool during the summer of 1941. Everything was big fun. But then on December 8th, which was December 7th in Hawaii because of the international date line, Wake Island's across international date line. On December 8th, they were bombed, along with Pearl Harbor. And so this, I gotta tell you guys, it's something that you and I, living now, we just can't get. I mean, it was as though the world ended. I mean, when the United States was bombed, I mean, you guys lived through 9/11, which was trouble. Whoa, sorry. Can we turn these monitors down just a little bit? Just a little bit? Because, I mean, sure, it's like a rock concert, but I didn't wear airplane. Thank you. Anyway, and I'll do my best to modify this thing. So, these guys were bombed. The United States was, if I may, like totally freaking out. My grandmother kept this newspaper, the Evening Star. This is back when big cities had two newspapers. The Washington Post was in the morning, and it was kind of a lesser paper. And then the Evening Star was in the evening. That's where they got the idea for the name. And it was a good value. Just want you to know, you'll see it's 3 cents back then. And the grown-ups today will go on and on with you about, back in my day, you know, we took Christmas seriously. I mean, now it was an important holiday. Now it's all commercialized. And back when I did it, you know, it was important. Yeah. So, 14 shopping days till Christmas. When they pull that stuff, just call them on it. Now, albeit it's for war bonds. It's for a national effort. But the idea is about the same. So these guys had just disappeared. These people on Wake Island, there were some military people there, but they're mostly civilians. And they fought back for 2 weeks. They sunk a couple Japanese ships. They shot down a bunch of Japanese airplanes. And eventually they were captured on Christmas Eve, 1941. My dad wrote in his diary, "The saddest day of my life." So they were captured and taken to, at first, to the mainland of China. But no one really knew where they went. I mean, this is before Twitter, it's before Facebook. And this is before the internet. I know, yeah, like what did they do all day? They came up with something. But anyway, meanwhile, my mother she went to a place called Goucher College, which is in Baltimore, Maryland, which is back in this place. Baltimore, yeah, Orioles, Ravens, I don't know. Hopkins are the Blue Jays. Not really, but we go Blue Jays. Anyway, had such things. Goucher was the sister school to Johns Hopkins. It was only women. And, you know, then now they let men in. It's gone to heck and so on. But back then, the dean of women, the dean of students at Goucher was Dorothy Stimson, who was the first cousin of the Secretary of War Stimson. And by the way, back then he was called the Secretary of War. Like, they spelled it out. Now it's the Secretary of Defense. Yeah. That's right, yes, we've been fighting this war on the other side of the world for defense. Yeah. 12 years. But would it change things if we called it the Department of War again? Would people think of it differently? Interesting question. I don't know. So anyway, apparently the Secretary of War said to his first cousin, "Do you have any women that can come work on this thing? I can't tell you what it is." So my mom and 11 other women were recruited to work on the Enigma Code. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's a famous German code. Woo, Enigma Code! But it was a notorious and infamous thing. And so she was in the Navy for 4 years, full-time, then she was in the reserves. But I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm not trying to be a pig. I'm just asking, just objectively, everybody, who has the best legs? Okay? I can see where Dad is already on his mind. So, by the way, if you get an opportunity to spend 4 years, it was actually, I guess it was 44 months in prisoner of war camp, I would just don't do it. It sounds like really a drag. I mean, I know it sounds exciting, different, but it sounds like it really exciting. So, but my dad lived through this thing. I mean, he lived through 4 years in prison camp, prisoner war camp. And at that time, they had no clocks. The Japanese military had confiscated all their watches and all their jewelry. And so my dad, the family myth is, reckoned time with the shadows of sticks. And apparently he would put a shovel handle in the dirt. They had a lot of shovels around, and he would observe the shadow. And there's a family myth, which I cannot verify, that he helped determine the latitude of where they were being transported from one place to another. And this guy, who was not even 5'7", was able to crawl through this vent in a train car and get to Shanghai before the British consulate was abandoned and tell everybody where these guys were. It's just a crazy thing. But anyway, my father came back fascinated with sundials, and because he was watching the shadows of sticks. So there you'll see in the lower left is the sand dial, my father's invention, copied it. That's right, you take it to the beach so you don't have to get sand in your watch. Sand dial, sand, get it? Huh? Brilliant, Dad. That is brilliant. That's gonna make like 20 bucks. That. And he wrote articles for the newspaper, the Evening Star, about sundials. But it was really when he wrote his book, Sundials of Maryland, Virginia, that's when, yes, people, he was given a lifetime membership in the North American Sundial Society. Yes! Any SS people here? Sundial people, anybody? Now you'll recognize them. You'll see them. They're out there tomorrow. It's moving. The shadow is moving. I swear. It's moving. I swear. No, it is an eccentric bunch. I'm a member. And I mention this because it's something that we all take for granted. You can go to the bookstore and get a calendar with puppies, all right? No problem, yes? You can get a calendar with kittens. You can get a calendar with kittens and puppies. Yes! You can get scenic Oklahoma. Beautiful. can get, I don't know if this is your thing, for me it's important, you can get either the Broncos or the Seahawks, yes. And ladies, yes, you can get the firefighters with push-ups. But you know that the calendar is correct. You're not worried about it at all. You go by the calendar, you know all the days are going to match, everybody's going to come out right, it's going to look the same as on your computer and your cell phone, and you're not the slightest bit concerned about it. But my friends, if you go outside and mark the position of the sun every day in the sky for a year, you will see that it's low in the winter and high in the summer. Sometimes it's east of an imaginary middle line, and sometimes it's to the west. Now this time of year, the sun's low in the sky, and it's February. And I hope some of you, there's got to be somebody here with a birthday on the 29th of February. Not that there you go, that represent. But nominally, although you will have orbited the sun another time, your actual date will not come up this year, because they don't have one. And we all know. But you will have orbited the sun, if I may, a whole nother time. So we all take this for granted. 2012 was a leap year. 28 was a leap year. 04 was a leap year. 2000 was a leap year. Let me ask you this. Was 1996 a leap year? Sure. Was 1900 a leap year? No, because there's a rule. There's a rule. Now look, imagine this, you guys. You are so powerful. You're in ancient Rome. You're so powerful. How powerful are you? That's close, sir. Thank you. That's a little out of sync there, but that's good. Appreciate it. You're so powerful. Yeah, how powerful? Yes. You're so powerful that you say, I want my own month. I want my own month. And I want my month in the summertime, when it's nice, in Italy. And you have to give it to me because I'm Julius Caesar. Right? And so the high priest, who was some guy who worked for the government, or sort of, said, okay, so then the other guy comes along, Augustus Caesar, and he wants his own month too, also in the summer. So it used to be September, the 7th month, October was the 8th month, November 9th, December 10th, they all got pushed over. Because Julius and Augusta wanted their own freaking months. Imagine, I'm President Obama, I want my own month. Yeah, that's true. Have a nice day. But we take it for granted. And so these Roman astronomers in ancient times realized, they created the leap day, which is brilliant, adding a fourth day every 4 years, an extra day every 4 years. And they said, well, you know, this is a little too much, but you're going to be adding a little too much time. In modern reckoning, it's about 11 minutes too much. And they said to each other, well, that's not going to be a problem for 1,500 years. Dude. Except it was Latin. Yes. And so indeed, it got to be into the 1500s. And everybody's noticing, you know, my grandfather told me to plant the crops when the sun was past that hill. Well, the sun's way past that hill, but it's not even March yet. So you talk about powerful people. Pope Gregory XIII was so powerful. Yes! Orange power, yes. So powerful that the Vatican astronomers were very skilled, and he declared October, in 1572, perhaps you remember, October 5th was followed by October 15th. They threw away 10 days to correct the calendar. I mean, and look, even in those days, there were landlords and there were tenants. All right, you owe me another month's rent. No, I don't. No, get out of here. So they had wars in Europe for a long time. About the calendar. No. So we all take this for granted, and they made this rule up that unless the century is evenly divisible by the number 400, it shall not be a leap year. So 1600, right after the rule was made, that was a leap year. 1700 was not a leap year. 1800 not a leap year. 1900 not a leap year. 2000 we happened to live through an unremarkable leap year, but we got all the zeros to change. Yes. 2100 will not be a leap year. So apparently the next correction, if you want to wait for it, is around the year 3080. So you can, look forward to that. So this phenomenon that we all take for granted, where the sun's high in the summer and low in the winter, has changed the world. This is why clocks often don't agree with sundials, because sometimes the sun is east of the highest point in the sky, which is called solar noon. Sometimes it's to the west. Now, among my father's great ideas was to turn the Washington Monument into a giant sundial. Yes! And if you go there this time of year, it's not as remarkable. If you go there in the spring, you can walk along with the sun, with the shadow. The thing is so tall that the apparent motion is very high. And my father pointed out, see what we do is we'd have these big stone walls on the National Mall with plinths. Plinth, anybody play Scrabble? It's a fabulous word. A plinth is the stone that the statue stands on. That's the plinth. It's only one ballot for you Scrabble people. All you need is an eye. The rest you just go finding. But like somebody like the Statue of Liberty, she has got a great plinth. Yeah. All right. My father pointed out that there are some issues. When it's wintertime, the shadow gets really long, and we will have to move the White House. A few blocks, about 3 blocks. But that's a small price, people. Come on. See, in the sundial world, the motion of shadows becomes fascinating. It's just sort of like everything that sticks up really should be a sundial. Lampposts, flagpoles. Okay, maybe not everything. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. College. So, in this light, I don't know what's going to happen, but if you look at the base of the Washington Monument, where the concrete apron is, the shadow is gray. Yes, thank you, Bill. The shadow is gray. But I tell you, if you look closely on an actual sunny day, like go outside, like my shirt would work very well, a white piece of paper is good, make a shadow on it with your finger or a pen or your friend's head, whatever you got there, and you'll see the shadow is gray, but on a sunny day, it's ever so slightly light blue. The shadow is just a little bit light blue. And that light blue color comes from the Earth's sky. And most of us don't notice it with our whole lives. We can tell the difference between moonlight and daylight, but we're not sure. We can't really put our finger on why that is. But it's noticeable. And it's one more little insight into our place among the stars, our place in the cosmos, our place in space, that turns out to be of great significance. So we didn't have a word for this in English, so I was forced to make it up. Right there, we call it cirrulescence. Tinge of blue. Cirrulescence. Because I'll just tell you, there is a word in English, viridescence, for a tinge of green. Well, there's a word, I made it up, there's a word now, cirrulescence. So now, if you don't mind, we will leave Washington, D.C. and go to Mars. So this is picture taken by the Viking spacecraft back in the disco era. It's 1976. Yes, exactly. You might be in the disco era. You might be working at the car wash. You might be kung fu fighting. Or you might just be doing the hustle. You might just be doing what you're doing. Anyway, at that same time, we landed 2 spacecraft on the planet Mars and took this picture. This picture went all around the world. New York Times, Oklahoma City, what is it, Tribune? The Oklahoma, yes, Oklahoma. And it went to Papua New Guinea, Norway, you name it, there it went. And people got to looking at it. And there was about a day and a half. And I was at a meeting going on 3 years ago where these 2 guys were there. And one guy says to the other guy, you know, I don't think the sky on Mars is blue. What do you mean? It's a planet. I know, too, but it's a different planet. And apparently they were looking at these shadows. They looked at the shadows from this antenna. And they saw this tinge of blue, this cirrulescence. And they realized that something was probably not right. And so the problem is the geologists who were obsessed with the color of the rocks were going to get all their pictures in the wrong color, so they wanted to correct it. So the actual color, electronically adjusted, the real color of the sky on Mars is probably more like that. Whatever that color is. Orange? Power orange. It's kind of faded for a power orange, I gotta say. Taupe, ecru, one of those eggshell, one of those words. You know, if you go to a department store, you know where they sell women's stockings? It's in the upper right on that rack. I don't wear women's stockings. I'm a huge fan, but I don't wear them. I love them, I'm really different relationship. So, I was, through the success of the Science Guy show, thanks to you all, I got invited to, thank you, I love you. I got invited to a meeting at Cornell University about the rovers that became the Spirit and Opportunity rovers. At that point, they were just called MER, Mars Exploration Rover. And they had these engineering drawings on this big table, and they had this picture of this thing. And I mean, it's a great thing. Very nice thing, colorful. There's a little piece of aluminum foil in the foreground there. It's a really nice thing. But yeah, I mean, after a while, I said, well, what is the thing? Well, Bill, that's your photometric calibration targets, what that is. Yeah. Photometric calibration. It's a test pattern for the cameras. Point the camera at it to keep from getting the colors on. Point the camera at it and look at these coupons of silicone rubber which have been cooked till they stop fading. Apparently the pigment is real bright, then you cook it for a while and it fades and it's stabilizing. And this is in a thermal vacuum chamber, a T-vac chamber, where they get hot and cold in the vacuum. And they have this metal post sticking up. It's an actual size about that big. It's an aluminum stick. So the plan is to send this aluminum stick all the way to Mars to get the colors right. And if you look at the shadow, it's the same light bulb as your oven in your dorm or at home or whatever. The shadow is quite yellow because that light bulb, that incandescent light bulb, has a lot of yellow in it. And we did not have a word for this in English, so I was forced to make it up. The yellow shadow we have xanthinescence. Come on, people, it starts with an X. Come on. Sexy. So after a few minutes, I'm in this meeting looking at this metal stick all the way to Mars, and my first thing, I worked at Boeing for a while. Don't worry, I was very well supervised. Worked at Boeing, and you're never supposed to add weight to the airplane. That's evil. You're never supposed to do anything that would make it heavier. You're supposed to always drill more holes in it to make it lighter. So, carefully. And so they said, no, we got to have this. We got to get the colors right. It was a huge problem back in the 70s. We didn't want to have this problem. And my father's history came rushing back to me. My childhood, everything I'd ever been exposed to. I said, you guys, we've got to make the photometric calibration target into a sundial. Mr. Nye. It's Mr. Nye, right? Because, we all have PhDs. Anyway, Mr. Nye, call us doctor. Mr. Nye, we don't tell time with a sundial. It's a space program. Now, Bill, I see you're wearing a watch. No, you guys, it'll be cool! Come on, we can reckon time on another world! How cool is that? It'll be like the guys who speak Klingon. And they are almost all guys. Yes. It'll be like those guys, except it'll be real. So, my friends, Steve Squires, professor, head guy, goes, okay, so there are now sundials on Mars. This is Husband Hill, named after Rick Husband, one of the guys killed in the Columbia wreck. And if you look at this picture, it looks like a place. You can go there and walk around. You'd want to be dressed properly. It's cold there. I'm not sure it's as cold as it was here last week. But it's very cold there. And you got to take water. It's a camping trip. You got to take water and food. And also, take something to breathe. You go there, you will notice that right away. That'll be the first thing, really. And then, so if you look in the lower right of this picture, there's the Mars dial. It's called Happy Little Sundial on Mars. There's one on Spirit and Opportunity. Opportunity's still rolling. Spirit is right on. So by the way, right on. The Opportunity road. It's been there 10 years. It was supposed to run 3 months. It's gone 40 times longer than the warranty. Imagine you buy a car. Really, you buy a car with a 3-year warranty, and you have to drive it for 120 years to get it to equal this rover with no maintenance. Not so easy. But the Spirit rover is not running anymore, but I'll bet you the Mars dial is still casting a shadow. I'll bet you. Maybe one of you will go check it out. And the Curiosity rover, which landed in August a year ago, 2 years, going on a year and a half ago. There it is, a self-portrait. We took the Mars and the hand imager lens and pointed at the spacecraft and took a bunch of pictures and electronically eliminated the arm itself. And then right there's the Mars dial, right there, casting a shadow. And when you look at it up close, if you happen to have a camera on Mars, there it is, casting the shadow. And these have this one has the motto, to Mars to explore. See, if my dad were here, he'd tell you sundials should have a motto. They should give you something to think about. Like it will say, I only count the sunny hours. Well, yeah, I mean, you're a sundial. If you go, seriously, if you go to some hippie school, like in Oregon or something, they'll say, life is but a shadow.